Just overnight, the joy of this young couple turned into a nightmare. Look at the two eyeballs of their 2 weeks old baby on the ground, plucked out by a woman, a mother at that. As if this was not enough, the person who committed the crime is laughing as though nothing happened. Whom did they offend? How will a fellow mother pluck out the two eyes of a newborn baby while pretending to birth him? Wait, a grandmother committed this heinous crime. Whose grandma? How was she related to the couple? Do not miss this interesting life lesson story from Ideka African Folktale, the latest African Folktale channel. But please remember to like and share our story. In the heart of a bustling African city, there live a young couple named Amaka and Ifeanyi, just beginning their journey together, freshly married, full of dreams and excited for the future. They lived in a close-knit neighborhood, the kind where doors stay open, kids ran barefoot, and everyone knew everyone. But one woman stood out, Mama Eka, an old woman in her late 60s with soft eyes and a gentle smile. Everyone called her Mama. She was the neighborhood mother, always helping young wives during childbirth, always available with warm soup and ancient advice. But no one really knew her. She said she'd once been a nanny. She said she was once a nanny, caring for children in rich homes before she retired. She claimed she do live in the area for years, but nobody could remember when she moved in. She had no visitors, no family. She never traveled during holidays. Still, she was kind. The kind of kind that makes you forget to ask too many questions. And when Amaka became pregnant, Mama Eka became even more attached. She visited daily, bringing herbs, food, and stories of motherhood. She insisted on helping. Even when Amaka resisted, she do say with a smile, "You are my daughter now, let me take care of you." There was also something the young couple failed to pay attention from Mama Eka. She always called them my own people, as if they had close tie. When the baby boy arrived, the couple had no one else to call. Both sets of parents were gone. So they welcomed Mama Eka into their home for Omugwo, the traditional post-birth care. At first, everything was fine. The old woman birthed the baby, cleaned the house, cooked fresh meals, and salad soup, hot soup, and sang lullabies that sounded like they came from another time. But then, strange things began to happen. The baby would cry uncontrollably, but only when Mama Eka held him. She would lock the nursery door during birth, insisting she needed privacy. One night, Amaka swore she saw the old woman standing over the crib, whispering. But when she asked what she was doing, Mama Eka only smiled and said, "Some children come from far dark places. You must speak to their spirits." Then it happened. One bright afternoon while Amaka dozed off in the living room, Mama Eka took the baby for his birth. 10 minutes passed, then 15, then 30. There came a scream, a loud cry, not the cry of a baby, not the shout of a mother, but the blood-curdling scream of a soul broken in half. Amaka burst into the nursery. What she saw cannot be unseen. The baby was in the tub, motionless. His eyes had gone. Blood trickled down his cheeks like tears. And standing above him was Mama Eka. She was holding something in her hand, a sharp needle. She had pierced the baby's eyes with it, and as if it was not enough, she also plucked out the eyes. The baby's eyeballs were on the floor. And the Mama Eka standing and smiling. Smiling. That kind of wicked smiles. When Ifeanyi rushed in and grabbed her, the neighbors gathered. Chaos erupted. But the old woman didn't flinch. She didn't cry. She didn't run. She just grinned. A grin so wide, so cold, it could freeze fire. And then she spoke, calm and chilling. I told you I used to be a nanny, but I didn't tell you where. Mama Eka turned to Amaka and Ifeanyi, now filled with tears. My heart bleeds right now, but not because of what I did, but because of the trauma I went through in the hands of your mother. She screamed and pointed at Amaka, who was kneeling and crying near her convulsing, blind baby. You don't remember me, do you? But I remember you and your families. Every last of you. All my services in your house was never kindness. I was seeking for a means of justice. Justice for my own blinded son. Justice for your mother, Lolo Idu's cruelty over my only child. My heart cried daily for revenge. And now, my mission is complete. Mama Eka, now trembling, faced the dazed crowd and began to narrate her life ordeal. Many years ago, in the land of Idu Kingdom, reigned a king called Eze Idu No. 1. He has ruled his kingdom for over 20 years, but one thing has made him an unhappy man. He was yet to have an heir to his throne. All his wives gave birth to girls. In his desperation to have a male child, he married to more women. In fact, every day and week in Idu Noba Palace, the cry of a newborn was heard. But it was the same story, the same report that gripped the heart of the king. Omuru gini o, omuru wayo. Meaning, what did she born? She gave birth to a girl. The midwife will respond. At some point, the king began to drive away his wives who has given birth to girls twice for him and replaced them with new women. This continued until one day, a slave girl shared the king's bed and became pregnant. The king's legitimate wives taunted her, called her a dog who ate from the place where the real children should eat. They spat at her each time she passed. So 9 months later, she went into labor. No one paid attention to her, including the king. This is because labor and birth was not strange in his palace anymore. It has happened over multiple score times. So like others, she was sent with the midwife and the co-wives to the bush to deliver her child. Luckily, the slave girl gave birth and it was a male child. Out of joy, the midwife left the newborn with the king's head wife, Lolo Idu. ran home to share the good news with the king. Before Lolido returned with the child, Ezidu Noba has declared the great feast for the newborn child. He has also named him Eze Idu. When Lolo Idu returned with the child, the slave girl was not with them. She was asked about her whereabouts, but she told them how she experienced heavy bleeding. Immediately the midwife left them, and she tried to help her, but she died on their way home. But this is what really happened. The embittered co-wife had kicked the slave girl severely on her stomach when the midwife left. The slave girl began to bleed and pleaded with her to save her life, but she kicked her harder and harder until she passed on. Did Lolo Idu stop there? No. On her way home, she branched to the farm. She plucked dry alligator pepper. She chewed them and spilled them on the eyes of the newborn baby boy. And when she handed the baby over to the king noticed his eyeballs were abnormal. They were bulged out with white bubbles covering them. When he asked why the baby's eyes looked that way, "My king lives forever. He was born blind," she responded. "Hello, hello, abomination." The crowd at the feast cried and began to disperse, all with sad faces. The king's firstborn and the son must not be born blind. He must be thrown in the evil forest. And so everyone believed Zidu was born blind. She said, "So what happened to my son? My only child is Zidu. Everyone believed he was born blind."
Because of the superstitions of his people, he was thrown into the evil forest as a baby, left to die. It was a taboo for the first son of a king to be born blind. But fate had other plans for him. He survived, growing into a strong and handsome young man despite his blindness. Deep in the heart of the forest, he met a beautiful fairy maiden named Apanang, whose name meant she must not be touched by the sun or fire. Apanang was no ordinary woman. She was a spirit blessed with beauty of the human beyond words, and kindness that melted the coldest heart. She took pity on Ezidu, sneaking food from her spirit mother to feed him every day. But when Aponango's mother discovered what she had been doing, she was furious.
"You are a spirit, and is a mere mortal. You must not mix with his kind."
She warned. But Aponango had already fallen in love. When she overheard her mother plotting to kill Ezidu, she knew she had to act fast. That night, Aponango made a bold decision. She took one of her younger brother's extra eyes and removed one of her own extra eyes too. They were endowed with 3 extra eyes. One of the eyes is the spirit's eyes to read the mind of others. So out of love, she gave Ezidu her spiritual eyes and that of her brother. The reason is she didn't want her brother to catch her up with her plan and report her to their mother. And secondly, she wanted Ezidu to be very powerful when he shall return to his people. With trembling hands, she placed the borrowed eyes in Ezeidu's empty eye socket. And for the first time in his life, Ezeidu could see. His heart leaped with joy, but nothing compared to the sight of Apunawo herself. She was the most breathtakingly beautiful woman he had ever seen. Hand in hand, they fled the evil forest and made their way to the land of men. Guided by Apunawo's spirit senses, they found their way to Ezeidu's father's kingdom. The king, Ezeidu Noba, Ezeidu's father, had passed on few market days ago, and there was no heir to take over the throne from him. So, amidst the confusion and the helplessness in the Idu kingdom, Apunawo and Ezeidu returned. When the people saw their lost prince now with sight, they were amazed. Without hesitation, they crowned him their king to sit on the empty throne of his late father and rule the land with his beautiful lord, Apunawo. But before they left the forest, Apunawo had only two requests of Ezeidu. Promise me you will never make me cry, for my tears will flood the earth. My tears will make an ocean. And promise me that you will never let me go under the sun or near fire. Apunawo pleaded with Ezeidu. Ezeidu swore on his life. He vowed to cherish her and reward her for standing by him during his darkest days in the evil forest. But promises made in joy, they say, are often forgotten in comfort. Did Ezeidu keep his promises? No. Rather, he became a womanizer when he became the king, sleeping with every maiden on his way and getting married to different women every day. As time passed, power got to Ezeidu's head the more. He became arrogant and reckless, indulging in every pleasure that came his way. He took new wives constantly, each one more beautiful than the last, until he no longer paid attention to Apunawo. The woman who had saved him became just another member of his harem. The woman who gave him the sight to see, the fairy that fed him and saved him in the evil forest, became just an ordinary wife. No more regard for Apunawo. So one day, during a grand feast, Ezeidu decided to show off the beauty of all his wives to his people, to the world, to the friends that gathered. He ordered all his queens to line up in the palace courtyard under the scorching afternoon sun for everyone to admire. But Apunawo was not seen. She refused to appear. Apunawo pleaded, "My king, please, you promised me. I cannot stand under the sun." But Ezeidu, drunk with pride and power, dismissed her fears. "You are my wife. You will obey me." He thundered. Heartbroken but obedient, Apunawo stepped into the sunlight. The moment the sun touched her skin, a powerful transformation began. Her body turned limpid and transparent. her beautiful shining fair skin melting like wax of a light candle. A golden liquid streamed from her eyes and skin, flowing faster and faster until she became nothing but a river of oil, slipping through the palace ground and into the wilderness. The crowd gasped in horror. The king rushed to grab her, but she was already gone. She did not go alone. She went with all she came with. The two special eyes, the two eyes that gave the king his sight, melted also and flows down from the eye socket of Ezeidu, joining the stream of the golden oil of Apnao. Somebody help me! I cannot see! I can see darkness everywhere. Where is Apnao? The king cried in regret. His voice thundered, echoed through the palace. For days, Ezeidu searched the kingdom, calling her name, but Apnao was lost forever. All that remained was a small oil stream deep in the forest, glistening under the sun. Ezeidu fell into deep sorrow, realizing too late the treasure he had lost. The kingship was taken from him because a blind cannot be the leader of people with full sight. From that day on, the land of his kingdom was never the same. Some say that the oil from Apnao still flows in the forest, and that whoever finds it will receive great wisdom, but only if their heart is pure.
Ezeidu's numerous wives ran away when he became blind again. Some young women ran away, leaving their daughters behind in Idu kingdom, while others left with their children. And what happened to the slave girl who gave birth to Ezeidu? What happened to me? I survived in the forest. I pleaded with Lolo Idu to have mercy on me and spare my life. Amaka, your cruel mother Lolo Idu left me to die from bleeding after kicking me severely on my stomach. But a hunter saw me and took me home, Mama Eka said, weeping profusely. When Mama Eka recovered, the hunter's wife became jealous of her beauty and thought her husband would take her as a second wife. She made life miserable for the slave girl. When the slave girl fully recovered, she found her way back to the kingdom where she would be treated as a queen for giving the king the long-awaited heir. But to her greatest surprise, she was told her son was thrown into the evil forest because he was born blind. My own son born blind, Mama Eka said, letting out a wicked grin. The child I touched with my own hands. The son I breastfed in the forest before the midwife left to give message to the king. The son who had his father's sparkling curious eyes. Blind? I was told your wicked mother poured hot pepper on my baby's eyes on her way home with my son after she had thought I had died. Because Lolidu weighed great authority in the kingdom, no one dare confront her or told the king what she did. Mama Eka was made a laughing stock by the king's numerous wives. Some labeled her the queen of the blindness. She sought means to go see the king, but she could not. She was prevented. The king was mad at her and didn't let her come before him for anything. Rather, he ordered the guard to drive her away from the kingdom for bringing anathema to his kingdom, and the slave girl left heartbroken. As time passed, Lolo Idu's daughters grew and began to get married. And the slave girl, now an old woman, trailed them to the city. Just as they said, the evils that men do live after them. Or rather, the evil that Lolo Idu did lived after her. Here is her grandson in the hand of Mama Eka, the slave girl. What is the use of the both eyes for the child, since she did not spare the eyes of her stepson? Her grandson's eyes was not spared too. I hope you learn a lesson from this story. If you do, please give us a like. Every evil deed has a reward. Bye.